What is the most popular website on the internet? Oh yeah, you're right. Did our parents invent Facebook? Who was it made for? Us. We are leading the world in saying how important relationships are. If anything, I would say that we are showing the world just how important and how much we value relationships. Now, there is some debate on whether or not Facebook is doing a good thing or a bad thing relationships. I don't really know. I've thought about it, but I'm not sure yet, and verdict's out. But I think that there's a chance that if it is bad, it's redeemable. I think we can fix it if we try, but that's for another message. So I do think we value relationships, but I will say, if we're honest, I think we have to admit something. We don't value all relationships. We value a very specific kind of relationship, and I think you'll know what I mean in a second. Has any of you ever been friend requested by a parent? Yeah? You're on the computer, and you're going through your messages, and then the friends, and it's like, okay, all right, Meredith Wagner. Meredith? I don't know a Meredith. I know Billy Wagner. Oh my gosh, that's Billy's mom. Oh! And you call Billy. Billy, what do I do? Your mom just friended me. I don't know. What do I say if I don't friend her? And we freak out. If you've ever gotten a friend request from an adult, especially your parent, then it's what do we do now? You shouldn't be here. This is our Facebook, not yours. Or if you've ever gotten a text message from a younger sibling, really young, you don't even know they have texting yet, and it's just emoticons and LOL and all these things. Okay, they just figured this out, and I don't know how they got my number, but great. That's good. We don't want it, if we're honest. So we reject it. We're no, stay away. And I'm saying this, and you laugh, and you're yeah, you're right. My parents are unreasonable. I don't want them in my life, and they don't know what I'm going through. And my little brother is annoying. So what's your point, Garrett? You're right. There is a divide. It should be there. Maybe it should, maybe it shouldn't. We're not going to go there right now. But I will say this. You've proven my point if you think that the divide does exist. I mean, if I were to go back in time to the slave era, say, and there's this great divide between slaves and slave owners. There's this horrible, messed up relationship that's established. And I were to say to a slave owner, dude, that's a person. They need to be free. You can't own them. They would be what are you talking about? He's my slave. I own him. You're wrong. They aren't valuable. They are my valuable property, but they're not valuable in and of themselves. And they wouldn't get it. I think that's the same problem we're having here with age relationships, people younger and older than us, because we're just so immersed in a culture that doesn't value them. And I think this comes from Satan. You don't have to believe in him, but he does believe in you. And he takes great pride in the fact that some of you don't always believe in him. In fact, that's his goal. He tries to come up with ways to invade our culture and twist something or destroy any type of specific relationship by using really simple concepts. Sometimes it's a thought or a feeling. Some cultures are based on revenge, and that's the thing, revenge, and Satan's behind that. Sometimes it's a phrase, sometimes it's a word. In our culture, I believe that there is a word that Satan has been using to divide the generations. You never believe what it is. You wouldn't believe it because he's so good at hiding it. Maturity. Really? I heard a snicker. Exactly my point. What does maturity have to do with it? How is Satan behind maturity? Are you serious? Think about the use of the word maturity. Is it ever to connect people? No. The sentences are always, well, you're just not mature enough for me. Or, look, when you get to be my age and you're as mature as me, then you'll understand what I'm going through. Which basically is saying, here's me, and here's you, and there's this great divide, and I'm not going to tell you how to get through it, but we can't talk. End of discussion. It forces a divide. If you've ever been told, well, when you get to be my age, when you're as old as me, oh, great. So I'm just stupid until I get to be age 22. Thank you. That's great. We create, by this concept of maturity, this divide that cannot be overcome. But if they do let you overcome it, it's been done in a devious way. And this is why I think it's not just a word that divides, it's a word that guides us down horrible paths. And let me explain. Has anyone ever said to you, well, when you've dated as many people as me, then you really understand this, and that's why I'm explaining this thing about relationships. I'm like, oh, okay. So basically, when you've failed as many relationships as I have, you're really good at relationships. That's what you're saying. Good. And I make fun, but we believe it. We're like, oh, yeah, you're right. I guess I got to get in a few relationships then. Get some experience. Experience is what I need to be good at relationships. Or have you ever heard the word naive used against you? It's always to separate. And in naive maturity, opposites. Oh, you say, no, I don't do drugs. Why? I think they're bad for you, maybe? I don't know. I haven't thought about it. Oh, you're so naive. Oh, naive. Okay. So what you're saying is, in order for me to be as mature as you, I need to do the drugs that you do. See, this concept of maturity creates this divide where the only way to get respect with people above you, or the only way you allow people beneath you in age to have respect from you, is for them to pass through the same mistakes you've made. That's moronic, guys. And that's demonic. I mean, we are forcing people to believe that they have to make mistakes to become mature, whatever that means. It's just horrible. And I think we need to counter this. I have 3 things, actually, that I think can counter this culture of maturity being the thing that we use against each other. The first thing, guys, you have to value yourself. And I know that sounds like, Oprah Winfrey, be happy, like, yeah, believe in yourself. Tiger, but think about it. This is really at the heart of this problem with the whole, I want to make mistakes so that people can value me. What you're saying is, I believe this lie that someone said, that I'm not valuable until I go through the mistakes they've made. So I will make the mistakes so that I can be valuable. You are valuable as is. I'm just going to say it. I wish I could say it more loving than that, but you really are more valuable than that. You don't need to make mistakes to prove it. 1 Timothy 4:12 says, don't let anyone think less of you because you are young. You guys should be writing this down. This is your verse, by the way. Pull that out in your back pocket whenever you need it, because you're going to be called too young a lot. Now, my thought is when I hear that is, oh, great, okay. What's the next piece of advice after that? After I tell them, don't insult me because I'm young, it'd probably be something like, I'm just going to share with you my wisdom that I know. No, I do have something valuable. I'm going to tell you my wisdom, my knowledge, my maturity. I'm going to show it to you by my opinions. But it doesn't go there, unfortunately. So it's there's both sides of this coin. The next part says, be an example to all believers in what you say, in the way you live, in your love, your faith, and your purity. And then you sigh, oh, wow, all right. What a letdown. So I really can't influence. I'm still going to be, all I can do is just be a good example. But you don't realize how much of an influence you can make just by being a good example. For example, if somebody were to say, you're so naive or you're so immature for whatever reason because you believe something, just say, wow, maybe you're right. I mean, you are older and I don't know about this, so explain it to me. Help me understand. Help me get better. In that moment where you show humility, man, it's like pouring hot coals on their head and it just burns and they're like, oh, I feel like I was a douchebag now. It happens every time. And all of a sudden their composure changes and they're like, oh, okay, well, this is what you do and this is my thoughts on the matter. And all of a sudden you're teaching them how to be humble. You're teaching them how to be loving in your conversations just by your good example. So you can't make a difference just by doing that. The other problem I think you guys we all make, is we don't realize that, you guys are it. If not now, you are going to be it. In 20 to 50 years, the the older people, will be gone. And you will be the doctors, the teachers, the engineers, the pastors, the worship leaders. God doesn't have anyone else to choose from at that point. So you don't have to worry like, oh, will I make it in this world? Eventually you will, because they'll be gone and we need the job filled. So there is lots of things for you to be doing, and you will do them. You don't have to worry about that. But you do have to think about it and be like, well, I'm going to be there one day. Guess I should do something about that. I think I'm liking math, so let me find out where that path leads. Or I think I'm liking art. Let me explore that path. I love God. How can I glorify him more? And you'd be surprised because you don't have to glorify God just in being a pastor. In fact, it's absolutely not true. The kingdom of God invades everywhere. Every business, every home, every church. He's not like a church. It's not a church thing. It's a world thing. So you do have influence. The other thing is, realize that the decisions you make now affect the person you're going to be later. So an example. I believe that there's two Garretts, two me's, in this one body. There is morning Garrett, and then there is nighttime Garrett. Nighttime Garrett doesn't care at all about morning Garrett and is very insensitive to his needs. And then morning Garrett absolutely despises nighttime Garrett because he's such an arrogant jerk. Because nighttime Garrett's like, oh yeah, I'm going to stay up till 1 a.m. and, live it up. And then 6 a.m. comes around and morning Garrett has to get up and he's like, why did you do this to me? You're so horrible. I swear. Tomorrow morning, I am like, you are going to bed on time this time. And then nighttime rolls around, and all of a sudden, nighttime Garrett's there, and it's like, oh, yeah, morning Garrett. He didn't have his facts straight. I'm just going to do what I want. We have a tendency to not care about the future versions of ourselves. But if we could know the mistakes, the decisions we make, how it affects who we become, I think we'd treat this a little differently. I've heard this sentence a lot. I don't regret any of my mistakes because they made me who I am today. That's true. And it did help, probably, to a degree. But I can't help but imagine if you knew the person you would have been if you didn't make those mistakes, if you'd be saying that sentence. If you knew the person you would have been free from insecurities, free from anger, free from humiliation from your own mistakes, I don't know if you'd be saying that sentence, I don't regret a thing I've ever done. Now, I know that's harsh. I know that sounds bad. Like, wait, you're telling me I have to regret things? I'm not saying that either. I'm just saying think about it. Just think about your decisions. Realize they do play a role in your life, and they are going to affect you and other people. So speaking of other people, you know how you want to get a heart that values generations? That gets over this problem we have? Value the generation younger than you. And our first thought probably when you hear that is, well, I don't value them. I don't really care. And I just gotta say, if you're thinking that, like, that's insensitive. And I could just throw out the scriptural concept of do unto others as you'd have be done to you, and period, end of sentence. Put the mic down and we're done here. But I would like to convince you that there is a point to this. Because when you influence younger people, it does make a difference. It impacts the rest of their entire lives. If I go to, where am I here? Proverbs 22:6. Direct your children onto the right path, and when they are older, they will not leave it. They will not leave it. The things that you teach at a young age will last the rest of their lives. If I decided I wanted to learn how to play guitar at, say, age 60, I'm an old man, and then I died at age 80, how many years do I get to benefit from the awesome ability to just play whatever I want when I hear a song that I like? Start at 60, die at 80. Simple math. 20, thank you. Oh my goodness. Don't go into math, guys. No. All right, so what if I started learning how to play guitar at age 40 and I died at 80? 40 years. What if I learned how to play guitar at age 10 and I died at 80? 70 years. The impact you make if you start investing in people when they're young is so much more powerful and so much more influential. Another great verse, Psalms 127, 3 through 5, basically says this: children are a gift from the Lord, and they are like arrows in a warrior's hands. Arrows in a warrior's hands. All right, so it's a bit of an archaic metaphor, but let's think about that. Arrows, I think that what we're trying to get at here is that it is a weapon. It does have power, and it travels great distances. So, for example, 4 or 5 years ago, I led a small group here. And I poured my heart and my life into those guys. I still love them. I'm best friends with many of them. And a little bit later, they ended up becoming fuse leaders. Some of them, like, incredible fuse leaders in there. And many of them also became small group leaders. And they're investing in lives, in hearts, in students. And that impact has probably brought some of you here. The influence you make by just investing in people, you will never comprehend how far it goes. And the other thing is, you're probably thinking, well, I don't know, I don't have anything of value to give. I don't have anything to say. Let me help you. Think of it this way. Figure out what age there are. 12, 10, 13, whatever. The person that you're like, all right, I'll think about investing in this human being. If you could go back in time and tell the 13-year-old version of you some piece of advice, what would you tell them? Now, in order to think about that problem, you have to think about, well, what was I dealing with when I was 13? I remember I was transitioning from one grade to another, and it was really awkward. And going into middle school, and it just sucked. Maybe you wouldn't say, here's what you do. You just say, dude, I am so sorry that you had to go through that. I'm so sorry that you're dealing with what you're dealing with. I can understand. I'm you. But seriously, think of them in that way. Put yourselves in their shoes. Remember back. Don't be insensitive and say, don't worry, the problems you have, you're going to realize later, are not that big a deal. That's so insensitive, guys. Validate their feelings. Remember what it felt like. Say, I do hear what you're feeling. But at the same time, don't pendulum swing to the point where you confirm that everything that they're doing is the right thing. And confirm and validate that everything they're feeling is good to feel that way. Because if you think about it, it's not true. But we have this tendency to do it. You have a friend and they're crying. And it's like, oh, yeah, you're right. You are so much better than him. And yes, the world is against you. I completely understand what you're going through. Oh, man, that does suck. Your parents do suck. Everything does suck. I completely and there's no glimmer of hope. And there's no wisdom. And there's no challenge. But you're like, I don't want to. I do see that they're kind of being stupid about one thing. But you don't say it because you think, I'm a friend. And I'm going to be nice, and I'm just going to tell them that everything they're doing is right. That's not friendship, guys. Or at least that's not real friendship. That's just treating someone in such a way that they can be the same person at age 13 to age 20 to 50 to 80 to the end of their days, and they never grow, they never learn anything, and they're going to wallow the rest of their lives. You will wallow with them. Guys, be bold. Challenge and find them. Weston is somewhere around here. Where are you, Weston? Weston's right there. He asked me to invest in him, and we talk at least once a week, usually on Sundays. And when he first asked me, he asked me like, "Can you help me with this one specific thing?" And I'm like, "Sure, man." But back in my head, I'm like, "I got so much more than that, dude. I'm not going to shut up. Like, you're going to hear a lot more than just that thing that you have problems with. We're in this now." And he got more than he bargained for. And I don't care. Because he is such a more upright man right now because of it. And one day he'll thank me. I think I frustrate him sometimes. But every so often I get a little validation for my efforts. So, value the people beneath you. Value the people younger than you. And at the same token, value the people older. I mean, think about it. If you could go back in time and help that 13-year-old version of you, there's so much you'd have to say. That's what they have for you. That's what they can offer you, is that wisdom that you know that they have to have because you feel that way about everyone that's younger than you. Or every stage of your life, you feel that about the person younger than you. Go to them. And as I say that, I know you're thinking, no, I'm not going to my mom about this. And you know why you're not going to go is because you're not stupid. You know that you can't just go to mom. You can't just go to an adult, someone older, and say, I'm really struggling with this thing. And they just validate your feelings like everyone else. No, they're going to challenge you, aren't they? You know that they're going to say, you should do this. And that thing that they say that you should do is not going to be something that you want to do. Therefore, why would I go to them? Right? Common sense? Okay, hold on. Proverbs 12:15 says, fools think that their own way is right, but the wise listen to others. It's a really complicated verse. We're going to dive into it right now. Say it again. Fools think that their own way is right, but the wise listen to others. Okay, I guess it's not that complicated. Guys, you're just not right all the time. I mean, you look at the years below you and you know you weren't right all the time. You're still not right all the time. There is things that you can grow and learn. There is. I promise you that. Furthermore, Proverbs 11:14 says, without wise leadership, a nation falls. There is safety in having many advisors. You catch that last part. Many advisors. Don't just find one person. Find as many as you can. I was dealing with an issue last Tuesday, I think, and I was just journaling to God, and I got to a point where literally the line stopped, and I'm like, I'm not hearing from God. I have a question, and I don't know the answer to. And he wasn't telling me. And I didn't think, oh no, God has disappeared. He's invaded my life, and I'm all alone now. I just like, okay, maybe he wants to speak to me through other people. So I literally sent the journal entry, because I was writing on my phone, to Luke. And then I called another friend of mine, who was another mentor of mine, and I just said, hey, this is what I'm dealing with. Do you see this train of thought? Like, help me out here. And I sent it to one other person. And it took the answers from all three of them to see the whole picture of what I needed to do in answering the question that I had. Any one of them by themselves was just kind of an incomplete piece of the whole puzzle. So get as much wisdom as you can. And speaking of wisdom, it's not wisdom if it's coming from someone who doesn't live by the thing that they're claiming they know. All right? So, as I said before, don't go to somebody who can't stay in a relationship for more than a year about relationships. Why would you do? I don't know why we do this all the time. Like, humor me on this. Why don't we go to someone who's been married for multiple years, 10 years? Let me reword that. They've been in a relationship, one relationship for 10 years. That's a good track record, guys. I mean, when you get into this relationship, you start talking about all this, oh, we're going to be together forever, and that's the goal, and we want, I'm committed to you. If that's really your goal, if you really want to be together forever, find mentors that are doing that very thing. Don't talk to your idiot friend who doesn't know what they're talking about. I'm sorry. In the same way, don't give advice about things that you have no business giving advice. Just push it right up. If someone asks you your advice and it's like, yeah, I'm in the same boat, be like, let's go talk to this guy. He's my mentor, and he could probably answer this. Or let me go talk to him, and he'd help me out. This advice thing, though, I realize, I got to hit it. I realize that it's hard because asking for advice is basically like saying, I'm not good enough as I currently am. Please tell me how to be better. Ugh. Right? Like, I don't think I can say that sentence. I can't say what is implied by the thing, help me with this problem I have. And that's why we don't do it. But again, guys, you can't be right about everything. You just can't. There is things for you to learn. There absolutely is. James 1:19, to prepare you for these conversations, says this, understand this, my dear brothers and sisters. You must all be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to get angry. I would have this verse up if you have the guts to do this, and you should. Like, let's all do this. When you get into this conversation with this older adult who validates your feelings but challenges your actions, when you talk to them and ask the question, they're going to start talking. And they're probably going to talk a while because it's been so long since someone asked them their opinion on something. And they're going to repeat themselves. And you're going to be like, oh my gosh, just stop talking. I can't listen anymore. Look down. Quick to listen. All right, I'm on this. I'm on this. And then as they keep going, you're going to be like, I just want to interject. If I interject, they'll stop talking. You just want to talk and like, let me just talk. Let me talk. Slow to speak. Okay, all right. Calm down. I can do this. I'm not going to speak. I'm not going to speak. Eventually, if you wait long enough, they're going to say something that pisses you off. They're going to say some challenge. They're going to challenge you to do something that is not what you want to do, and it's going to make you angry. Look down again. Slow to get angry. Okay, all right. I know it feels like they hate me, but they love me. That's why they're doing this. That's why they're saying this. Just remind yourself, don't get angry, don't get angry, don't get angry. As hard as it is. That's the kind of process that we have to go through if we're going to be in a culture that actually learns from each other. A multi-generational church. And I believe that if we act this way, if we cross the divisions between generations, the rest of the world is going to notice. They're going to see it, and they're going to be like, wow, that really works. We should emulate that. We should copy that. So this is what we're going to do. We want to make this easy on you. You may be thinking, I don't know anyone older than me, wiser than me. I don't have that. I don't trust my parents, and they're not a good example. We're going to try to help. Don't discount your parents just because they piss you off, okay? They do have a lot of incredible things to say. You should go to them. We're also going to have bios on the branded Facebook page of leaders, me, the people that are back there all over the place, that we think they're good people to ask questions. They're good people to learn from. And just read the bio and be like, all right, their life sounds similar to mine. I'll ask them. Click the link, go to their Facebook page, send them a message. It's that simple. I think we can actually redeem this Facebook thing if it is actually a bad thing. I don't want to give up on it. So let's do that. And then after that, go to the Facebook Fuse page and sign up to serve. Invest, guys. It makes a difference.